Hello, hello, all. Thank you for joining us again on the Almost Brothers podcast. Hey, will you do us a favor? If this podcast has meant something to you and encouraged you, will you consider becoming a monthly supporter? You could do $3, $5, $8, or $10 a month. What this does is this helps financially support the podcast so that we can continue to put out content and help better serve you. So if you would, down in the show notes, you can click the link, support, and become a monthly member. We love you. New episode coming your way.
Okay. Babe.
Are you good? Is that?
I gotta get the speaking voice ready.
Okay. All right. Well, are you good? Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about communication. Just wow. Well, as you can hear, my wife is with me again today. Babe, how's it going?
Yay.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Almost Brothers podcast. Here, no Richard, no Tyler, but James is in the building.
The best co-host.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
I know Richard's going to call me.
Every time he does, it's like, excuse me.
Right.
I don't think so. Yes, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about communication, not just in marriage, not just in ministry, but just communication overall. Why is it so hard?
It is so hard.
It's so difficult. Like
well, the idea is difficult. The actual doing of it is difficult. But once you do it and you're used to it, it gets easier.
It does. Yes, that's right. But why is it so hard to get to that point? You know, why is it so hard to, especially in any kind of, what I've found is in any kind of leadership, it's hard to communicate because you're so afraid of hurting people's feelings, especially in today's landscape of the way everybody is so hurt all the time and everybody's offended. And it's like, you can't communicate something that has upset you without it causing a fight.
Oh yeah. And I think that's not even really leadership with anyone can have trouble communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for me, it's probably just like a guilt or a shame. Like, I don't want to speak on that, or I don't want to bring that topic up because it might hurt their feelings, or it might open up a door you don't want it to open.
But do you think that hurts more than it helps? Keeping that inside,
No.
You don't think that hurts?
No, not if you come off in a loving way.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you keep it in and don't say anything, do you think that hurts?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us do that, and we either just bury it and then eventually it gets to where it explodes, or we get resentful.
Yeah.
And we other things will make us upset because we've held on to what bothered us instead of communicating that. Now, something that has nothing to do with it blows up.
Right.
And really it could have been taken care of and you wouldn't have got to that point if you just communicated that.
Right. And it can cause so much more deep trauma.
Yeah. And so much more damage to that other person.
Yes. Like emotions are off, like the numbing of it, your mindset, it can all be thrown off if you keep it inside.
Yeah. And I just wonder how many times things can be avoided if the communication was there to begin with.
Yeah, a lot.
And I think this goes for everybody, learning how to be the one that people can go to and say, hey, you made me upset.
Yeah.
And not let that get you upset.
Right.
And not let that put you on the defensive. And it seems like we're all on edge anymore, that as soon as someone comes and hey, this hurt my feelings, or hey, you didn't do this the way I asked you to. It's like we're all on the defensive right off of the jump.
Right.
So it makes it hard to want to communicate.
Well, I think that's why I say we're different. So we've been in ministry for so long, but we've learned there's a right and a wrong way to come across to people.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it in a like a mean way, like the mean girl style, or you can come off and say, hey, like a true, genuine, we need to talk. I love you first and foremost. I'm here for you, but, you know, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
This hurt me. You know, we need to do this a different way.
Yeah.
There's just all kinds of things that you can communicate and use different words without just blatantly, you know, speaking about it or saying it in a rude way.
Yeah, because you could say the same exact thing 2 different ways and come off completely different.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you could still get your point across. You could still tell that person how you feel, or, you know, like I said, in a leadership or a boss situation, you can set those healthy expectations. Hey, this is what we expect. This is what you should have done. You knew that coming in. But I think the problem is a lot of time with leaders is we won't communicate the expectation. And then when the expectation's not met, now we want to speak up and say something. So that catches that person off guard when they're going, oh, I didn't even know. I'm sorry. I didn't know that was the expectation because you didn't communicate that. And that's bad leadership. You know, if you're not communicating, 1, the expectation right off the jump, and then 2, communicate with them when they're not meeting that, help them meet that and keep that communication going. Because, you know, I've been under a few different types of leaders, and I've had that to where you don't know the expectation until you do something wrong.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. Or I didn't know how this was supposed to be done. Or you have, hey, here's the expectation. And then you get no communication whatsoever through the process. So you don't know if you're doing good, you're doing bad. Is there anything I need to work on? So I think both of those are a detriment because the person that's not being communicated to now doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. And that's the same for being in a relationship. When you start dating, you say, okay, like, I know people probably don't even do this anymore, but hey, what are your likes and your dislikes?
Yeah.
You know, that used to be a big thing back in the day when you started dating. Now they just, oh, well, will you sleep with me or will you not?
Yeah.
Or how many chicks do you have on the side?
Yeah.
Like that's where it starts though. Like what's some of the things that irritate you? What are some of the things, you know, that you don't like or you do like or you enjoy, or what are some
or
of your
something
hobbies?
as simple as how many kids do you want to have? Like if you're in a serious relationship and you're looking towards marriage, like asking how many kids do we want to have? What's your thoughts? What's my thought? Do you want kids? You know, where do you want to live? Where do you want to retire? Like these are things that a lot of couples go into marriage and they're not agreeing on because they never communicate. They never even brought it up.
Right.
So you've got one that wants a bunch of kids. You got one that doesn't want kids at all.
Yeah.
And now you're married.
Yeah.
And it's like, did y'all talk about this at all?
Yeah, no.
You know, or you know, I always love doing like those little games where it's like, who knows their spouse the best, where you're like, okay, write down their favorite movie or write down their favorite, because you could see in couples how well they communicate with each other.
I think we would fail at that.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Maybe.
I think we do good.
Depending on the questions.
Oh, I want to do one of these days. I'm going to have you and Richard on, and I'm going to ask y'all both and see which one of y'all knows me the best.
Probably Richard.
Do you think, that's what I was about to say, do you think you could beat him?
Probably not, because he actually listens to you, and I'm just like,
oh my, 8 minutes, 25 seconds. Oh my God. We are getting somewhere. We have had a breakthrough, ladies and gentlemen. Did you just admit that my voice goes in one of your ears and out the other?
Maybe.
That's beautiful.
It's been so long. Unless you're like, babe, I have something really important to tell you. I'm like,
I got you the other day with that when I came home from the grocery store.
Yeah, what was it?
I was like, babe, oh my goodness, you'll never believe this. And like you're typing away, you're working, and you're like, oh, what happened? I'm like, you will never believe this. They were giving away free sprinkles at Walmart.
I thought it was something important, but you just bought yourself sprinkles.
Babe, they were giving them away. What am I going to do?
He lied. That's a communication problem.
Lying. You are lying.
You are lying.
That's fun. So let's go into relationships. Like how do we set up those healthy communication habits?
That's a good one.
I know for me is don't feel guilty for stating how you feel.
Yeah.
You could be completely wrong. You could have got the whole situation wrong, but that doesn't invalidate how you feel. Communicate that so that the other person, because what you find is most of the time that other person has no idea they made you upset.
Right.
So if you just communicate that, you can get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, and it's so elementary once you think about it, because I know we've had these discussions is, hey, this really hurt my feelings. And, because of, it's not just like, hey, you hurt my feelings because you looked at me the wrong way.
Yeah.
This hurt my feelings, or this made me feel a type of way, or I didn't like this. And then usually it ends up with a deeper conversation and, well, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Something so simple.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea I even, made you feel that way or hurt you or said something to offend you or, and I mean, even if you don't think you did it, an apology still helps.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then it's a learned, like, okay, won't do that again.
Yeah. That's good. And that's what comes out of that communication is that now you're learning, you're growing together. So now it's like, oh, okay, cool. Don't do that like that again.
Yeah.
And it's very elementary, but I think every person on the planet in 2024 struggle with that because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. So in that not wanting to hurt others' feelings will allow our feelings to be hurt.
Yeah.
I'll just take it. They made me upset, but I'll take it.
Well, and then you have a resentment against that person.
Yeah. And you start looking at that person differently and things go from there. You'll start to see them through a different lens.
Yeah.
So that person that made you upset, now everything they do is going to pile on that. And you're going to see them through that lens of being upset. You're not going to see them as your friend or as your spouse. You're going to see them through that lens of, ooh, they made me mad doing this. So everything after that, because you haven't got to the root of the problem, everything after that is going to pile on it. Instead of just opening up and saying, hey, you hurt my feelings. And I think that is so hard because people are so quick to get mad at you. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than when someone goes to someone that wronged them or that hurt them or that made them feel bad and says, hey, you hurt my feelings this way. And that person gets upset because now you feel bad. You're like, I should have just kept it in. I should have never said anything. And now the next time you have that problem with someone else, you're going to be hesitant to open up and communicate that. So I think we all need to realize we're all trying our best. We're all doing what we can. When someone comes to you and you've hurt that, like try to see their side of it. Right. Again, they could be completely wrong, but try to see their side of it and meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
Because they trust you enough to open up for them to open up to you and say, hey, this hurt, or hey, you did this. But it's so hard.
Yeah. And I think relationships with, like, for example, me and you, we've been together for so long and people we're very good at communication. We had to learn it though.
Yeah.
Through the years, and we still learn it. Like there are some things which is totally okay. That's what I want to get across. It's okay to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Because some things that you might feel like is super important are probably not as important to me.
Yeah.
Or some things that you might agree on.
Like my collectibles.
Look, they're in the living room.
That was our last pretty good argument.
We compromised.
We did compromise.
So,
but that was only because that was clearly because of communication.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want them in here because you don't see them the way that I do.
Right.
You didn't see it as important. You didn't see it, and it took for me to communicate like, babe, this is something that I enjoy. This is something that means something to me. For you to go, okay, well, let's compromise.
Yeah.
And if I would have never communicated that would have been something that I held resentment for.
Yeah.
So being able to communicate that and you being open to taking that communication
Right.
is what allowed that for us to meet, that, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Here's what we're due. And it may seem so little, but it's such a big thing because that adds up, especially in a relationship. So that's a win. So in the back of your mind, you go, that's awesome. You allowed me to do that. You were cool with that. That adds up. So now something else comes down the line that doesn't seem to even go together, but I've got that in the back of my head. You know what? She compromised with me on this. I'm going to meet her on that. Yeah. So it goes a long way. And I think that's same for friendships, is being able to open up to your friend and say, hey man, this hurt my feelings. Or, hey man, this, you said you were going to do this and you didn't do it. Why?
Yeah.
This hurt me. I was depending on you. Why didn't you do it? And being able to meet halfway. So now the next time you're in that situation, you go, okay, cool. We've been here. Let's talk it out. And you just grow together.
Yeah. And it's just so, so important. Just how you come across. And it should always end with a relationship that comes out of it.
Yeah.
You don't want to come to that person and be like, I said this in a loving, kind, as best I know how to describe it, come across, and they still just want nothing to do with me.
Well, I think that tells you everything you need to know about that relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't come to a friend or someone you're in a relationship with and say, hey, this is how I feel, and them not go, whatever, and get mad.
Right.
If that's the response, then they don't have enough respect for you to be your spouse, your friend, whatever it may be. They just don't. And sometimes you have to deal with it because, say it's a boss that's just, they could care less about how you feel. But my advice would be get away from that relationship. Mm-hmm. Sever ties with that, especially if you can't, if they attack you for the way you feel, that is a red flag.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of relationships that are like that. Well, I can't tell her how I feel because it ends up in an argument. That's sad.
Right.
Like, that's scary. And of course there are certain things that aren't worth opening up a big can of worms. It's like something small, your shoes are in the way. I'm not going to have this whole conversation about, your shoe. You upset me because your shoes were in the way. That's like opening up a bigger problem for something that's just move them. It's, certain what is it? The pick your battles.
Yeah.
So there are certain things you just overlook, it'll be fine. But there are things that you need to communicate.
Yeah. And a big part in this is feelings, of course. And I always look at feelings like God gave us our feelings for a reason. We have them, and we tend to, as humans, lead off of them, but they should never, ever control us.
Yeah.
So it's always like let me take a step back, look and think, is this really, how I feel?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes sleeping on it.
Oh, what did Pastor Randy? He said something that was so good Sunday morning. He said, feelings are good passengers, but terrible drivers.
Yeah, that's so true.
I was like, man, that's so good.
It is. Because we allow to take over. We become I've met some people that are just so dramatic with their feeling.
Yeah.
Cry at a drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Get mad at a drop of a hat. And it's like, you are letting your emotions take over. And it's like, you need to take a step back. I know they always say, don't go to bed mad, married couples. But sometimes you wake up and you're like, that was so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, why was I mad?
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you wake up, you can't even remember.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, for real.
Yep. Oh yeah. So I'll ask you and then I'll answer and then give you a little bit of time to think. So what is one relationship that you've seen in your life that has grown outside of me and you, that has grown because of communication? So my answer is Dad.
Oh yeah.
I remember it. I remember so clear. There was two different times. There was one at the house. It was like 4th of July. And there was another one where me and him was going to a Bruins game and it like snowstormed and we didn't make it. And we just got to sit down and eat dinner and just sit and talk. And it was one of the best times I've had with my dad because I was able to just talk to him. Hey, tell me about your life growing up. Hey, tell me about, these things in your life in the military, and tell me about, and be able to communicate with him back and forth. And then what that led to is a closer relationship to where me and him, I started opening up about things that I struggled with him. And we were able to go back and forth and kind of see each other in the middle and understand each other's side, and, tell him, hey, you not being around as much really affected me. But then me getting to see his side on, you got to understand though, my number one priority was providing for y'all. I know I wasn't there physically, but I wanted to be there for you financially, and understanding his childhood and how he grew up and how he was raised, and the extent of his hard work that was for us, and the sacrifices he made for us, that I didn't see it as sacrifice. I saw it as Dad's not here.
Right.
So being able to open up and communicate like that. And our relationship has never been better since that. And that was probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just been so much better.
Right.
Just because of that. Getting to sit down and just talk.
Yeah. Something that haven't got to do.
No. Yeah.
Mine would probably have to be, who would it be? Because I talk to so many people.
On your computer.
Let me bring up my messenger. Probably Lee, to be honest, because, when you raise a teenager and it's so hard, oh my gosh. And you go from this little sweet, innocent child to now they want to rebel. Now they want to do what they want to do. And they think what they think is right and everything. And they just stand their ground, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
But it's so hard. So when I guess she just became older, and I literally had to force, like, all right, I have to let go of all of it and just kind of communicate with her. So we started small, and then it kind of just blossomed into, now we talk every other day, and she's so far away, and that was really hard on me, not getting to see her every day and talk to her every day. It just makes communicating more important. That's probably the same with you, because I know, like, you had a more in common with her than I did. So
a couple things. Yeah.
So now it's kind of me, like, communicating with her and watching her grow, and, some things we don't agree on, and that's perfectly fine. Of course we still love her. She's our daughter, but it's just like, okay, now I'm looking at you like an adult. So I'm going to communicate with you like an adult.
Yeah.
And it's just become so much better.
Yeah.
So much better than, raising a teenager and just set in her ways. And because people, don't realize how hard it is until you're actually raising one.
Right. And with her, what I found with Lee is that the quantity of our communication has went down drastically because she's not here.
Yeah.
But the quality has went up.
Right.
So when we get to talk to her, whether it's over text, whether it's over FaceTime or call, it's quality. Hey, how's life going? How's school going? How's work going? And really, like you said, talk to her like an adult.
Yes.
And not just her, she's in the room and we're just kind of talking to her about nonsense, So,
right.
That's kind of one thing that I've been able to take out of that is now we're able to talk adult to adult, because she's adulting now.
Right.
And now she's starting
It's
to
like,
understand
hey,
the struggles.
Those bills, they be billing.
Yeah. So she's understanding now what it's like to be an adult, and she's starting to get it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'd like more.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to her more than once a week, or 5 minutes.
Well, and when we were, with her and she was at the house, it was like, we talked to her, but she was just doing her own thing.
Yeah.
So now it's just so much harder since we moved.
Yeah.
And, every day when I'm at work, I used to talk to the girls. So, that was constantly communication. Wow.
What? what?
I think I just had a stroke.
That was a communication.
Don't put me on here.
What was you saying about the best co-host? Nope.
Right.
Womp, womp. That was a shot.
Dang, Richard's gonna fire me.
Oh, that's funny. So before we get off here, so what is one thing that you would like to work on with your communication?
Being more transparent. I think of the last few years, I've really, really tried to step out and just be vulnerable and be, like sharing more of a testimony or sharing more of what I went through, or just like putting myself out there and speaking kind of like my story, or just vocalizing it more. Because I know like being in ministry especially kind of just always held me back, or because of insecurities. So it's just now, speaking my truth, speaking my testimony, and just really being vulnerable.
That's good.
I don't know if that's a right answer.
That's good. No, hey, yeah.
Because I feel like with us, we always communicate. So, I mean, clearly we've been married 18 years. So there's never, I guess we could vocalize it more, but we probably would just get sick of each other. Like, babe, my right side is hurting, and I think I'm dying.
I think you're okay. Hey, you're fine. I know one thing I've tried to focus a lot more on is communicating to you and the kids how wonderful you are, how beautiful you are, how smart you are, how amazing you are. Like, I don't think we do that enough.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do that. Bubba, you're handsome, you're smart, people like you, you're funny. Sissy, you're beautiful and smart, and you're goofy, and like, and hearing that like makes you feel good. It's just like, oh man, because a lot of times we don't think that about ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't say it enough about the people that we love.
Yeah, and you do.
I've been trying.
I'm like, what?
You're like, well, thanks.
It's 8 a.m. and my hair is to the side. Like, what?
Yeah. So I know I kind of started that this year, especially with the kids, as I dropped them off at school. It's like, you're beautiful and handsome and smart and funny, and I love y'all so much. You're just the best kids.
Well, and when we moved here, that's what we wanted. We wanted more time to communicate with our kids. We wanted to spend more time with our kids. And the summer, like them being home has just been like eye-opening. Like, whoa. Like, because I was always at work during summers.
Yeah.
So when like you would call me and be like, like we're just all sitting here and they're going crazy. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But now it's like, what?
Well, and you also start to see, and you also start to see like their personalities a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it's different when they're home at 4:00 and bedtime's 9:00 and you're kind of running around, you're doing dinner. But like to actually see them through the day and you hear some of the stuff they say and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Like these kids are growing up.
Yeah.
Like this is nuts. When Sissy's in here
crazy
correcting some kind of fact that you just said, she's like, actually, it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? So, and I've tried to do that with mom and dad also, say that a lot more to them. Just, y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for being amazing parents. And I love you. And I'm thankful for you. And, we don't hear that enough from our friends, from our family. Richard's really good at that.
Yeah, he is.
He's good at.
He is an encourager.
Yeah, he is. It's so good because it'll come at a random time and just brighten up your day.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, I love you. He literally texted me yesterday.
Yeah.
And after church, let me pull it up here. It was right after church, and it's just like, it's just a cool thing to, to like open up and just look down. It's like, oh, well, that's nice. Thank you. Literally yesterday, 12:30. Love you, man. Just wanted you to know that.
Yeah.
It's just like, really oh man, that's awesome. So I've tried to be more of that because I feel it and I think it and I know it, but I feel like the people around me don't know. Of course they know I feel that way, but to hear it is completely different.
Yeah.
So I've tried to do that a lot more and communicate that to the people I love and the people that are around me.
Yeah.
Even Pastor Randy, that's why I said, man, I love this.
Right.
I try to tell him every day. I feel better when we're together.
Yeah.
Like I really do, so just trying to be able to do that.
Yeah, because I think we all should take encouragement and run with it.
Yeah.
Not just run with it, but be an encourager or try to be.
Yeah.
Because we take for granted those people that are, and we're just like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, that's a calling.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or those people that like go and visit, church members in the hospital, or the ones that are sick, or, bring food, like that's a calling.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just gets way overlooked.
Yeah. Well, as we head out, babe, I love you. You're beautiful. Even with your what's it called? Your bun?
Yeah.
Your bun is done.
Oh, it's after 8.
It's it's holding on for dear life.
It's bedtime, so.
But I still love you. You're my favorite.
Hey, listeners, we just want to thank you for your continued support for the Almost Brothers podcast. Do us a favor and go to your favorite platform and rate us and like us and share with everyone that you know. Thank you so much. Love you.